Yes, what is up? I am back in my brand new Kevin Gameiro jersey, and that makes me very happy. Also, I have a big favor to ask all of you, which I know is something I rarely do because I don't like to mess with your flow. I just want you to enjoy my content and get on with the rest of your day. But I'm making a monthly video for one of my former clubs, the San Jose Earthquakes, and I need you to go watch it for at least 30 seconds. It's a good video, but you don't have to stay for the whole thing if you don't want. Then hit like and leave a comment saying I'm the best or whatever you want. And if you screenshot that comment, then email it to we@warmballers.com and we will send you some Warmballer stickers. Is that cool? Cool, and thank you in advance. I owe you guys. The link to it will be the top one in the description. So head over there after you finish watching this, The Weekend in Rewind. And we're gonna start with El Clasico. So, good weekend, Barcelona. Because with their 2-2 result against their biggest rivals, Real Madrid, where they survived going down to 10 men after Sergio Roberto got a red card at the end of the first half, and more on his card in a bit. And where they benefited from Messi's fantastic goal being allowed when it shouldn't have been allowed after Suarez fouled Varane to start the play. And they didn't have a penalty called against them after Jordi Alba definitely fouled Marcelo in the box, which means sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Well, this result maintains their undefeated record in La Liga with 3 games left to go, and I think they're gonna do it even though they have in 6th place and currently on a 3-game winning streak Villarreal at home. Then 17th place, but also on a 3-game winning streak Levante on the road, and 11th place Real Sociedad at home, which means I believe that they're going to become the first team in La Liga history to not lose a game during a league campaign, which obviously would be a fantastic achievement. Bad weekend, Real Madrid. They got to feel hard done by because the balance of the calls by the referee at El Clasico seemed to favor Barcelona, despite the fact that Gareth Bale probably deserved a red card on his stud showing tackle on Samuel Umtiti's calf in the first half. And I rhymed there. And he didn't get one, but if he had got thrown out, then he wouldn't have been on the field to score the game-tying goal, and the game probably would have been much different, but the referee called what he called, or didn't call, and 2-2 is how it ended. So now, for me, Real Madrid have to win the Champions League, or we're gonna have to call this season a failure for them. And I only say that because I expect them to compete for every single trophy in every competition that they're in, and they're not. Also, to make matters worse, despite toughing it out for the majority of the first half, Cristiano Ronaldo looked like he rolled his ankle pretty bad on his goal, and he went off at halftime, which they're claiming is minor now, but you never know how severe it might end up being. However, if you remember, Portugal ended up winning the final in the Euros when he went off injured, so maybe the same thing could happen with Madrid if he ends up missing the Champions League final. I mean, Gareth Bale always seems to play better when Ronaldo's not on the field. Though, come on, let's be honest, the guy is a machine who lives for the big moment, so I'm sure he's gonna be fine. Good weekend, bad weekend, Sergio Roberto. The good? He dropped a dime to Luis Suarez for Barcelona's first goal. It was an excellent pass. The bad? He got a red card after swinging his arm near Marcelo's face. Now, I'm not entirely convinced that he hit Marcelo in the face, but Marcelo sure acted like he did. But what was undeniable was that Roberto did swing his arm towards Marcelo, and once Marcelo went down to the ground, it really gave the ref no choice in the matter. He had to give him a red card, which means even though it felt like a weak red card, given all the other chippy plays that the referee let go prior to that, Roberto needs to know better in that moment to not get caught up in the emotion of what's happening on the field and stay level-headed. And now I sound like his dad. Son, what the were you thinking out there? Go to your room, you're grounded. Bad weekend, all of us. Because Sir Alex Ferguson is sadly in the hospital after a serious health issue, which sucks because it feels like someone of his stature should live forever, you know? And then Arsene Wenger managed his last ever game at the Emirates, which was a comprehensive 5-0 win over second place Burnley in the mid-table table, which means Arsenal are the mid-table champions by finishing 6th. So congrats to them on that. I didn't think they had it in them this season. Also, I gotta be honest, seeing Wenger at the end addressing the supporters, I got emotional because it's just a sign that everything comes to an end, that there's finality. And for a brief moment, I felt overwhelmed with nostalgia because I realized that I'll no longer be able to poke fun at Arsene Wenger anymore. And then add in the fact that one of my favorite players, Andres Iniesta, played in his last El Clasico, and my grandma isn't doing well right now. My dad has slowed down a ton. And man, can't we just all stay in our primes forever? Is that too much to ask for? Good weekend, Chelsea. After their London rivals Tottenham bottled it against West Brom 1-0, as they do, and after Chelsea beat Liverpool 1-0 on an Olivier Giroud goal, as he does, the Blues are now 2 points away from Spurs for that last Champions League spot and 3 points away from Liverpool for third, and they have 2 games left. And honestly, given their form, they've won 4 straight league games. And with Spurs being Spurs, I think Chelsea have a legitimate chance to overtake them, which would be so f***ing funny if that happens. It would be like f***ing hilarious. The best part for me, though, is that my Newcastle play both Tottenham and Chelsea over these next 2 weeks, so they're going to help determine the fate of both of those clubs, so it pumps me up to see my favorite English team, the Toon, finally playing some games that feel like they matter this season. So hoy the lads! Bad weekend. Napoli. Twice they had the lead over Torino to make sure they kept pace with Juventus at the top of the table after Juve beat Bologna 3-1 the previous day, and they gave up a goal in the 83rd minute to draw 2-2 at home, which puts them 6 points behind Juve with 2 games to go, which means it's over, it is done, and Juve are now the champions for the 87th straight time, though we already knew that's what was going to happen, so it shouldn't come as a big surprise, but yet it feels like a surprise, because we all thought and hoped that Napoli would do the business and figure out a way to pull off the miracle, and they didn't make it happen. Good weekend, Mainz. 3 weeks ago, it looked like relegation could be a legit possibility for this German club, but with 2 straight wins, including going into Dortmund this past weekend and beating them 2-1 when Dortmund needed points to secure a Champions League spot, Mainz are safe. And that is great news for me because I love saying Mainz, Mainz, Mainz. Bad weekend. Jeff Cameron. The U.S. international not only wasn't deemed good enough to play in the last 2 games for the U.S. when we didn't qualify for the World Cup, which led to him writing an article on the Players Tribune and throwing everyone under the bus. His club team, Stoke City, didn't use him either as they battled to stay up over this last month or 2, but sadly, they officially got relegated this past weekend, which means I fully expect him to write another article about this experience and then throw everyone under the bus again. So don't let me down, Jeff. Make it happen. Good weekend, FC Porto, who won the Portuguese league for the first time in 5 seasons, so congratulations or parabéns to them on a great season. Also, they will have the benefit of watching their biggest rivals, Benfica, potentially get 3rd and miss out on the Champions League if Benfica don't pull off a result at home against Moreirense. Moreirense. Did I say that right? Probably not. Since both Benfica and Sporting are tied on 78 points, but that means Sporting still needs to get a result because Benfica has a better goal difference. Also, I got to give a shout out to the bottom of the table in Portugal because Estoril, Pacos de Ferreira, and Vitória de Setúbal, I think I said all of those right. I promise, are all on 29 points, and then Feirense is on 30 points with 1 game left to go, and the bottom 2 get relegated. So 2 of these 4 are going to go down. So it's going to be wild in Portugal next weekend. And if I had a place for all of us to watch at the same time, that would be pretty sweet, but I don't. So I think I'm just gonna have to read about it after, which makes me kind of sad. Bad weekend. The LA Galaxy. After fighting their way back to 2-2 after being down twice to the Houston Dynamo in Houston, which is never an easy place to play, the Galaxy gave away yet another game and lost 3-2 in the final minutes, which is their 3rd straight loss, and unfortunately slows down the hype train of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who needs to do great things while leading the team to wins if they're gonna maximize the impact he's gonna make on MLS and the sport in this country. And they're just not doing it. Good weekend, PSG. With another 2 goals in their 2-2 draw against Amiens, PSG became the highest scoring team in the last 50 years of Ligue 1, and they still have 2 more games to go. They currently have 108 goals in 36 games, which means they are averaging 3 goals a game in the French league this season, which means they figured out a glitch in the Ligue 1 system. They really did, and they need to switch the difficulty from professional to world class, okay? We're tired of the professional. We know you guys are cheating. Stop cheating. You gotta make the jump. Good weekend, bad weekend, Tigres. The good? Their female club scored a 91st minute goal in the final of the Women's League and Liga MX to send the game to penalties, which they ended up winning in front of 51,000 people, which is a world record for attendance for a women's club game, and that is awesome for all involved, so congrats to them. Si se puede. The bad? The men's side of the club, who are the defending champions of Liga MX, got knocked out in the playoffs this season by Santos, and actually so did their rivals and last year's runners-up Monterrey, but not by Santos. They got knocked out by my Tijuana Cholos Solo, si se puede, which proves yet again that money, and Tigres and Monterrey spend more money than most in Mexico, doesn't guarantee trophies, though it usually does. But just not in this case. Bad weekend, NYCFC. In the first New York derby of the season, the boys in blue, who are led by the ageless wonder David Villa, traveled to Red Bull Arena to face the boys in red, and they got whatted 4-0 and simply got outclassed in every facet of the game. Also, for those that know, well, you know, but for those that don't, keep an eye on Kaku this season for the Red Bulls, because not only did the 23-year-old Argentine score a goal and have 2 assists in this game, he is, for me, and with all due respect to Bradley Wright Phillips, the most important player for the Red Bulls this season, so you've been warned. Good weekend, Cardiff City. With Fulham's 3-1 defeat to Birmingham, which was Fulham's first loss of 2018, by the way, Cardiff rode out a 0-0 draw at home against Reading to qualify for automatic promotion to the Premier League, which, given that Cardiff were second from the bottom in November 2016 when current manager Neil Warnock took over, they made the impossible possible, and that kind of fight and spirit and determination will be necessary if they don't want to get immediately relegated next season, because you are my Cardiff, my only Cardiff. You make me happy when skies are gray. Bad weekend here in Wien. After going down 2-0 to Feyenoord, the Dutch club, who only needed a draw to qualify for the Europa League in the last game of the season in the Eredivisie, came back with 2 goals in the second half to tie things up, only to give up a 3rd goal in the 90th minute to lose 3-2, and now they're going to have to settle for what could have been, and that must suck. And I don't know how you say that sucks the big one in Dutch, but if I knew how to say it, that's what I would say right now. Good weekend, Rangers FC, because they took a risk in hiring a still relatively unproven Steven Gerrard as their manager, but I think it was a good risk to take. Not only is he a marketable name, which will get people more interested and aware of the club, he also was super dedicated to his craft as a player and considered one of the best captains around for a reason, which for me are not qualities that you lose when you stop playing. They just carry over into whatever you're going to do next. And I think we can all agree that these are both vital components in becoming a great coach. And on top of that, and similar to Zinedine Zidane, he's going to command instant respect from the players. So when he speaks, you know the players will definitely be listening. If they're not, then they're idiots. And he's going to a league where he'll have pressure, but not too much pressure because Celtic are so dominant. So in summation, I think this is a great first place for him to cut his teeth as a manager of a senior side, and I wish him the best. Bad weekend. Everyone not named Trey Dauenhauer. Because with 1 week left to go in the Warmballers Fantasy Premier League, Trey's team, Netflix and Chilwell, have a 15-point lead over second place Roger Horsted. So barring any epic Spurs-type collapse, it looks like we know who the first ever Warmballers Fantasy League winner is going to be, and I hope I didn't just jinx him. Because if I did, I'm gonna feel pretty bad about myself. Good weekend, insert team here. Because I'm sure I forgot about someone, so I apologize to them and you if you support that team. Also, thank you for watching. I wouldn't be here doing this stuff without your support, and it means a lot. And thank you again if you're helping me with the San Jose Earthquakes video. Again, I'm gonna owe you big time. And I think I'm finally done. Later.